Hello and welcome to the fragrant world of Melanie Jane. I'm so excited to share with you this beautiful recipe for a moisturizing lip balm. I used to make this when I used to sell my products at the Arte market, and especially at Christmas time. They were a no-brainer to buy like a little gift for somebody. They were absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to show you how to make one in just 4 steps and with just 4 ingredients. It's so simple, and I'm telling you, people will go crazy for this if you start making it. I've got some little samples of lip balm pots that you can use. There's different ones that you can use. I'll show you. These ones are these are violet glass. They're not actually black, they're actually violet, and if you hold them up to the light you can see. And these I love very, very much, these pots, because they actually preserve and keep the integrity of the oil for a lot longer than it would be if you were to use, let's say, a little pot like this. But of course these are a lot more cost effective, so that's fine if you want to use these. Then there's also some little plastic ones that are absolutely fine. I've seen people use these. This is one of my favorites. It's so tiny, this tiny little pot. And then you can even use a tin. I like the tins, but the things with the lip balm is, especially if you live in a hot country like I do in Dubai, you will be tempted to put it in the fridge, and that's fine. But what happens is when you put something in the fridge, it has a tendency to create condensation, and when it's in a tin, the tin tends to, over time, go rusty. So of course then you're going to have to throw the whole thing away. So think twice about using a tin. For me, I would prefer glass or one of the violet glass bottles. So I'm going to show you the first ingredient that we're going to put in here. So I've already prepared some beeswax. These are absolutely beautiful. Can you see these little pellets? Now, if you buy the pellets, they're more expensive than buying the beeswax block, but it's a lot easier for you to work with if you're doing if you're just doing a little experiment. If you're doing something to sell, then I would buy the block, and the easiest way to do that is shave it with like a vegetable peeler or something like that. But yeah, so let's use the beeswax pellets. So what we're going to do is I am going to use this little jug, because what you need to do is we're going to need to melt the ingredients. Okay, and we're going to do it like, is it called a bain-marie or a double boiler or something like that? We don't put it directly onto the stove, yeah, because it'll burn the ingredients. I'm going to show you the little pot that I'm going to put it on afterwards. I actually got these from the spice souk in Dubai, and I think they're actually used for coffee. They're actually used for coffee pots, but I like using them for my ingredients. So we're going to put in here, and the recipe is down below. So in here we have got 15 grams of beeswax. Make sure that you buy the yellow beeswax, not the white one, because it means that it's not been refined. Beeswax has beautiful emollient properties. And I've heard that plastic surgeons, or not just plastic surgeons, surgeons, you know, because they have problems with their hands being dry all the time, and they actually use beeswax to moisturize their hands because they're constantly washing them. So it's a great emollient. So then we're going to use some scales, and I'm going to use the next ingredient, which is cocoa butter. I am absolutely obsessed with cocoa butter. Oh my God, and it really does smell like chocolate, and it gives your lip balm. Some people just use 3 ingredients for a lip balm, and it might be just beeswax, oil, and then an essential oil. But the cocoa butter adds that little je ne sais quoi, and it makes it really creamy. And I'm telling you, if you make this recipe, your friends are absolutely going to love it. And if your customers as well, mine always did. So now we're going to add the cocoa butter, and we're just going to add 10 grams. Use the scales because it's a lot more accurate than using teaspoons or tablespoons. I've seen people do that, and you need to get this recipe right, because if you don't, then it can either be too soft or too hard, and the consistency isn't nice. So let's drop some in there. Now that was just 3 grams. What you can do with the cocoa butter, break it down into little chunks, because you see, if you break it down like this, it melts a lot quicker. So we're just using 10 grams of this. Let's see, that's 7 grams. You can use shea butter as well, but I'll tell you a little bit later when we start using shea butter why I don't like using it for the lip balms. It's a bit harder to work with when you actually melt it. So we've got 9 grams there. Let's add a little bit more. just fluctuating. There we go, we've got 10 grams there. So now I am going to add some coconut oil. Now I want to show you a difference between coconut oil. This is a coconut oil I bought from the supermarket. I think the brand is called Parachute. It's not very expensive. If you want to go down the organic route, you can, but obviously this is much more cost effective. But what you can also get as well is this, and this is by the brand that I'm partnering with, actually Aromatierra, and this is fractionated coconut oil. And can you see the difference? What happens with this? It's fractionated in that they use a fraction of it, so it doesn't go solid at room temperature, in the cold, sorry. So even if you were to put this in the fridge, it wouldn't go solid. But I prefer this if you're going to use it on your face, not so much for a lip balm. So now we're going to add the coconut oil. And in the coconut oil, I've been very specific about this. It's 88 grams, which is great because number 8 is my favorite number. Going to use the scales. I'm not going to use a jug. A scale is more accurate than a jug when you're measuring. And remember, when it comes to this lip balm, you need to be quite accurate for the consistency. You don't want it to be too soft, especially when you're in a hot country. So 88 grams, we're going to pour it in. We're going to be, what you could do, this is one thing that you could do actually, if you don't want to pour it from a big thing, you're a little bit scared, do it there to about 50 mils. 50 mils, approximately 50 grams-ish, probably a little bit less. So let's pour that in. Okay. And then it's 51 now. There we go. And I like coconut oil. It adds that little sweetness to the lip balm as well. I do have more favorite oils that I actually prefer for cosmetics, but I think coconut oil is nice for a lip balm. And when it gets up to 80, start doing it little drop by drop so it doesn't go over. We're up to 83 now. There we go. Absolutely perfect. We're going to add an essential oil into this, but I'm going to do it at the end. I don't like to do it now because essential oils are volatile. Their molecules are very light. And if I was to put an essential oil in this now and then put it over the double boiler, it would quite quickly evaporate. So we do it afterwards. So I'm going to go over to the cooker now and I'm going to show you how we melt it. And you can see here, so it's starting to melt now. Now it does take some time, but can you see I've got the water in the double boiler and I've got very little. I've got maybe a couple of centimeters in the bottom. You don't need any more than that. If it goes on, obviously don't let the pan boil dry. But yeah, you need some good steam, but don't let the pan touch the water because it needs to be melted at quite a low temperature. So I'm going to leave this here until it's all completely melted. You can see the cocoa butter and you can see the beeswax there. It looks really beautiful, mixing and melting in with the coconut oil. You don't need to keep stirring it. You can just leave it there and then just wait until it's melted. Give it a little stir. Once it's all completely melted, we're going to go back and add an essential oil. So now it's melted and look at that beautiful golden color. You're getting that golden color not from the coconut oil, you're getting it from the beautiful golden beeswax and the cocoa butter, and it smells absolutely divine. Oh, I'm just smelling it from there. Now we're going to make it smell even better. I'm going to add an essential oil. So now we have the oil, it's all melted, and the wax. I'm going to bring it back here now. Now the pan is still going to be hot, so be careful about what surface you put it on. So I'm going to add the essential oil. I need to start doing this before it starts to solidify again, because it will start to solidify. I'm going to be using peppermint oil in this one. And this is, oh my God, this is just such a beauty, so soft. But you can also use mandarin oil. This was one of my favorites for the lip balms as well, or sweet orange if you prefer something sweeter. But I'm actually going to show you now. My stick just fell out of that pot, which is a good thing. It makes you realize that you need to protect the surface of your table, because otherwise you'll end up with wax and butter. If you've got something that's wood like this, then it might ruin the surface, so you don't want to do that. So you can put a plastic tablecloth down if you wish. Peppermint oil. I'm going to tell you a really fascinating fact about peppermint oil. I love it. It's great. It's good for headaches. It's good for nausea. Okay, but what peppermint oil is really good for, and I found out this when I was in Harvey Nichols in London about a couple of months ago when I won a trip with Dubai 92 to London, which was brilliant. I was in Harvey Nichols and I went to the Charlotte Tilbury stand, and I'd heard a lot about this brand, and I went and bought a face powder and I think an eyeshadow palette or something like that, and they had this lip plumper. Now I always want like my top lip, and I'm definitely not getting lip fillers. I'm never going down that road. But I said to the girl, what's this lip plumper like? Is it really good? And she's like, it's okay. She said, but it's just got peppermint oil in it. She said, and that's what makes your lips plump. I said, well, then I'm just going to make a lip balm with peppermint oil in, right? And she went, yeah, you might as well just do that. So that's what I'm doing. And we don't need a lot. We can put basically 1 ml. So in this actual blend that I've got for this recipe, we can use 1 ml of peppermint oil. And if you want to, you can use spearmint. I don't know if it has the same lip plumping effects, and I'm not quite sure. But anyway, 1 ml. You can either take this lid off and use a pipette, or what you can do is use drops. Sometimes I like to use the pipette because it's a little bit more accurate. But if you want to use drops, I'll give you a really good clue. 1 ml equals about 40 drops of essential oil. So let's do the drops. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 28, 29, 30, 10 more. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. And that's all you need to do. Give it a nice stir. You need to do this really quickly. Now, because obviously the essential oil, it's a little bit cold, and peppermint in itself, because it's got menthol in it, tends to have a little bit of a cold effect. So it might start to get the mixture to solidify. So you need to start moving quickly now. So get your little lip balm pot, whichever one you want to use. And it's just so simple. And I'm going to put this in the bin now because I don't need it anymore. Put it on a flat surface, and you can do one of 2 things. You can either pour it directly from this, okay, and then you don't need to put the lid on immediately. Or what you can do is, if you're a little bit scared and you're using a tiny little pot, you can put it in a jug like this, and then put this to one side. I'm going to use this teeny tiny one. I really like this one. Children love this size, you know. And then that's all you need to do. And can you see now it's starting to solidify already around the edges? And you can use any of those that you wish to. Can you see in the jug as well how it's starting to solidify already on the jug? And if you're worried about this, you can always pop it back into the pot, put it back on the double boiler and let it melt again. That's why you need to start working quite quickly. Or if you wanted to, you can just dig it out with your fingers and put it all over your lips. And that's it. That is my absolutely fabulous secret recipe, no secret anymore, beautiful, nourishing lip balm. You're welcome.